Hello, I'm Andy Plater. I'm Professor of Physical Geography at the University of Liverpool. This presentation provides an overview of the potential for mega-recharge projects for building coastal resilience. It's enabled through EPSRC institutional support, linking to the EPSRC-funded ARCOES project. Megarecharge, or Sandscaping as it's known and promoted by the Crown Estate in the UK, is built on the behaviour of beaches in providing natural coastal protection. Megarecharge or Sandscaping is a soft engineering option using the principles of working with natural processes. Here, beaches provide a mechanism for wave energy reflection or dissipation based on their grain size, roughness and beach slope. These properties are well known by geomorphologists and engineers, and they're often mimicked by engineering structures such as sea walls and revetments. Beach recharge is a well-established technique, artificially replacing beaches that have been lost through gradual erosion or events such as storms. Mega-recharge, or Sandscaping, is essentially large-scale beach recharge, adding sufficient material to the beach that provides long-lasting protection along with habitat creation, recreational activity and enhanced tourism. Mega-recharge enhances the natural resilience of the coast to erosion and storm events by providing a substantial natural buffer zone in the shape of a wide, extensive beach and tidal flat. This enables erosion of the beach by high waves and storms, but the large beach volume has the capacity to lose sand without the high tide shoreline being eroded. It then has the capacity to rebuild naturally during the intervening quiet conditions. Indeed, such interventions can be designed to naturally recycle sediment along shore. This more naturally resilient shoreline is then less vulnerable to flooding by storm events and sea level rise. Wider benefits of mega-recharge can arise from placemaking. These include tourism, simply beach users, and also recreation, which might include surfers, windsurfers, sea canoers, sailors, sand yachters, walkers, runners, etc. The wider benefits of mega-recharge and sandscaping can also include habitat creation. This is important for maintaining coastal biodiversity, rare species, migratory populations, but also recreation, such as birdwatchers and ecotourists. Ecosystem services linked to human health and well-being. These include supporting services such as biological productivity and soil formation, provisioning services such as food, fuel, building materials, medicines, regulating services such as flood protection and climate regulation, and cultural services which very much link to human health and well-being, such as a beautiful landscape, enjoying nature, spiritual enlightenment. Economic benefits can be obtained by the valuation of natural capital and ecosystem services, revenue from ecotourism, but also direct revenue from visitors, users, and savings from not having to maintain or upgrade costly engineering structures. So where does all the sediment come from for mega-recharge and sandscaping interventions? Essentially it comes from offshore where the water depths are deeper than the wave base. This depth is roughly equal to half the wavelength of the prevailing waves. In these water depths, sediments can't naturally be entrained and transported by waves. Hence the seabed represents a source of sediment that can't usually be accessed by natural processes. The seabed is often characterized by large volumes of sand and gravel, much of which has been left behind from retreating glacier outwash streams when sea level was much lower. As sea level rose, these sands and gravels were drowned on the continental shelf. Licensed dredging is able to access these reserves of sand and gravel, providing they meet the necessary regulatory requirements and demonstrate no significant impact on seabed habitats. So what do we need to know to implement a mega-recharge or sandscaping intervention? What key questions do we need to know? First, there are areas that are vulnerable to flooding from storms and future sea level rise. These are prime candidates for mega-recharge interventions. This example comes from the ARCOES online map viewer. It shows an example of vulnerability to future sea level rise and storms, in this case with a 65 centimetre rise in sea level combined with a 1 in 250 year storm, the outline of which is shown in red. It also shows additional flooding due to wave overtopping, shown in brown, and high river flow, shown in orange, and the area that would be affected if all of these factors were combined, as shown in purple. It demonstrates that the different combinations cause different depths and extents of flooding. This second example demonstrates the potential flood risk from combination of high waves and extreme water levels that have the same joint probability, 0.5% or 1 in 200 years. This flood risk analysis highlights the different depths and extents of flooding that may arise from different combinations of events and helps to pinpoint where mega-recharge or sandscaping may be best placed to reduce wave height and therefore reduce flood risk. A critical aspect of adding sand or gravel to the beach is to determine where it might be redistributed by prevailing waves. These images show the potential redistribution of fine and medium-sized sand recharged to the coast in Rye Bay in southeast England, using the Polcoms model. The upper plates show the movement of fine sand under summer, left, and winter, right waves. The lower plates show the movement of medium sand under summer, left, and winter, right waves. Clearly, the finer particles are transported further by the higher waves in winter. The different coloured dots represent sediment particles that have been placed in different locations in Rye Bay, and therefore reveals areas that should be avoided to prevent distant transport of recharge materials. Going to all the trouble and expense of a mega-recharge intervention requires knowledge of its likely duration or lifetime. Modelling provides an effective means for exploring the balance between the size and lifetime of any given mega-recharge intervention. The example shows the results of modelling from CEM, the Coastal Evolution Model operated by BGS. It demonstrates the lifetime and morphological evolution of 3 possible sand and gravel mega-recharges as recurved spits along the south shore of Dungeness in southeast England. Although the features are much reduced in size after about 25 years, the CEM model output shows that they still offer an important level of coastal resilience over this time frame. This example shows the results of modelling using Delft 3D, exploring how potential mega-recharge intervention evolves over a period of time as a function of sediment grain size, tides, waves and storms. Here we can see the morphological evolution of the initial intervention. Blue areas are those of erosion, red areas are those of sediment deposition. Here we can see where the sediment is moved to as time progresses, moving onshore first and then being redistributed alongshore. For each day of this model run, we apply a morphological factor, which essentially multiplies up the patterns of erosion and deposition to represent morphological change over 10 years. The CEM model also enables analysis of likely reduction in erosion rates arising from mega-recharge or sandscaping interventions. The graph here demonstrates the influence of different mega-recharge interventions on erosion rate. The black line demonstrates the current erosion rate either side of the maintained sea defences located at Camber and Dungeness Point. The option that provides the greatest reduction in erosion is shown by the red line, which derives from the 3 sand and gravel recurve spits illustrated in the earlier slide. Modelling of this nature enables stakeholders to optimise design for lifetime, erosion reduction and cost. Designing a mega-recharge or sandscaping intervention is much more than a scientific challenge. Not only does the design need to consider the cost of locating, transporting and deploying the marine aggregate, as well as that as going through the approval process, it also requires considerable interaction with a wide range of coastal stakeholders to identify any policy or environmental constraints and any adverse impacts on coastal stakeholders, locally, offshore and downdrift. The design also considers the multiple benefits, that of erosion and risk reduction, income through tourism and recreation, habitat creation and ecosystem services. The economics of mega-recharge projects therefore needs to consider the relative costs of different impacts and benefits, and policy instruments for making such interventions economically viable over their 25 to 50-year lifetimes. Mega-recharge or sandscaping is therefore an effective means for building coastal resilience. It's a soft engineering solution to coastal problems that works with natural processes. These innovative interventions offer multiple benefits, from hazard mitigation through habitat creation and also income generation. Modelling tools such as those described provide an effective means for identifying sites where mega-recharge interventions provide a viable solution, and also for optimizing design across policy and environmental constraints, impacts, costs and benefits. Thanks very much for listening. I hope you found this helpful. We'd like to acknowledge support from EPSRC institutional sponsorship for this project, and also EPSRC funding through the ARCC programme for the ARCOES project. Other webinar videos illustrating the various elements that go into support mega-recharge or sandscaping interventions are available, and we recommend that you explore our online resources more fully. We'd welcome your comments on our discussion board on potential applications, collaborations and key problems that you believe our tools would help you address. We'd also like to acknowledge NERC support through the AROC project that first enabled us to explore modelling of sandscaping interventions.